George Walker Bush, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
I was comforted to know that Mother and Dad were sitting behind me as Chief Justice Rehnquist swore me in as president. After the swearing in, a luncheon in the Capitol, and the traditional inaugural parade down Pennsylvania Avenue, I went to the Oval Office for the first time as president. Dad had gone upstairs to the White House residence to take a warm bath and thaw out from the frigid parade. After a few minutes, the door swung open, and he walked in. We spent a few minutes together, just soaking in the moment. Over the next 8 years, I would have many memorable meetings in the Oval Office. None compared to standing in the office with my father on my first day.
You miss the Oval Office? You miss being there?
No.
Not at all.
Not really. You know, it's 8 years was plenty.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I love the action and the team around me. I miss a lot of the people I serve with, but you know, I'm still in touch with Condi and Hadley and Josh and Andy and Dana
And Carl.
Carl, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, I see Margaret Spellings is running our deal there in Dallas at Bush Library, our Bush Institute. And so I stay in touch, but I really don't miss
The day-to-day.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's one of these things where I gave it my all, and that's all you can do.
And you have a sense that history is going to judge everybody fairly.
Yeah, I do. It's hard to tell it right now,
Sure.
because you know, it's impossible for a historian who lived through a person's person's presidency, for example, to be objective. I mean, that historian's going to have prejudices about the decisions made for or against, and it'll be hard to accurately record that. Plus, there needs to be time for the decision to show its worth or not.
How surreal is it? You're the son of a president. You've been in the Oval Office. You eat first time in the White House. You're there to meet Tricia Nixon.
Yeah.
And then you get that office, and then your dad's in there with you.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's a great moment, right?
Well, it was such a touching moment. It's hard. I'm not that poetic to describe, you know, what I felt like. I can just tell you that it was serene and very sweet.
You know what's so hard for me to understand? When you talk about your dad didn't want to give you advice every day. He might give you an opinion on somebody you might hire.
Yeah.
But the other support that he gave you is only something somebody in that job could offer.
Exactly. That's one of the things that makes this book unique, is that you have a father comforting a son, but what makes his comfort even more profound is that he had been president himself, and so he knows what you're going through. And I knew what he was going through too, however. He would agonize over what people said about me, and he would agonize about the criticism. And so I would call him and say, "Look, I'm doing fine. You know, don't worry about me." You know,
really didn't bother you. The criticism, you didn't read a lot of it.
No, I didn't pay that much attention to it. And you know, what really bothered me was the harsh rhetoric that has gotten harsher. And the reason it bothered me is because I don't want people to be turned off to our system. I mean, it's the fairest system by far. And the idea of people saying, "Why would I want to be involved in that?" Troubles me.
The age of the internet, blogs, commentary, I'm part of it. I guess I'm part of to blame, but it's harsher than it's ever been.
Yeah, it's changed. It has.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully good people will still run this. Hopefully this book sends a message that you can be a good person with good values, and you don't have to sacrifice those in order to serve your country.
How do you explain, you talked about your dad's loss in '92.
Yeah.
And you talked about the conditions weren't working in his favor, and Cap Weinberger had just gotten indicted.
Yeah,
and the economy slowed a little bit, and so he didn't get reelected. That was a big blow to you too. And then you're in 8 years. Then President Obama's now been in 6. And we have a big midterm like we just had, and it's a repudiation of Obama. How do you through the prism of like historically being in politics so long, how do you explain that, the country moving back and forth?
Well, because that's good.
Why?
Well, because it means change is possible. I mean, any election. I didn't think 2006 was all that great, but nevertheless, it was an indication that democracy was functioning. I mean, the people are pretty wise, not pretty wise. wise. And if you take them for granted, or if you don't, if you don't listen to the kind of the rumblings, you get, they let you know their feelings in the polls.
But you think about that. I mean, you had a very different ideology. For example, President Reagan was so different than Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill Clinton's so different from your dad. Obama's very different from you.
Yes.
And now the country seems to be swinging back. You think that's good?
I think it reflects the fact that people get to have a profound say in their government, in the direction of their government, and which stands in stark contrast to parts of the world where people don't have a say in their government, which is bad. And not only that, it promotes radicalism and enables thugs to recruit.
Yeah.
Like
Is that
ISIS.
still the biggest threat we face today?
Yeah.
In your view?
Yes, sir.
Bigger than we know?
Well,
Because you have
the problem is it's hard to tell how big it is because you don't know. Certainly, people say, well, Al Qaeda was a threat prior to 9/11, but you don't know how big a threat. And so my worry after 9/11 was a chemical, biological, or dirty bomb in the hands of these people. It's still
These
my
people
worry.
are more, if it's possible, more vicious than Al Qaeda. You see the beheadings. You see.
Well, remember, Al Qaeda slit Danny Pearl's throat.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
True.
they're both. It's hard to argue about the level of viciousness.
Yeah, the level of evil.
But evil, exactly what it is. And the point is that they'll kill again, and so we got to succeed.